Welcome to the first episode of Beyond the Walls. The aim of this series is for me to provide you with regular weekly videos that will look at various hot topics and updates about Embark Studios games, the finals, and the currently in development Ark Raiders. You can think of this series as a weekly current affairs program about the games and their communities, covering a wide range of topics in one video. These episodes won't tend to have breaking news about the games. There are plenty of content creators who publish those kind of videos, and my New Zealand time zone means I often wake up to watch those videos myself. So that's not really what the series is about, although if you've missed any news through the week, you might be able to catch up on some of it here. Overall though, this series will be more of an opportunity to discuss the finals and Ark Raiders through overviews of how the games are going, to the big stories that have happened throughout the last week and the community's reaction to those, as well as examining hot topics within the game's communities and ongoing updates about smaller things like Easter eggs in the games. And the content will vary from just letting you know what's happened to me giving my opinion on the various subjects. I hope that makes it pretty clear what you'll get in these episodes of Beyond the Walls. In this inaugural episode, I'm going to focus on the finals, but other episodes might cover Ark Raiders or sometimes both games, depending on what's been happening during the week. With that introduction out of the way, let's dive right in. This week saw Embark's community lead Ottr Lundberg announce that they were delaying their weekly update after last week had seen a 2-day delay to update 3.4.0. When that update did go live, it also saw Embark customer service and community lead Dusty Gustafsson saying that Xbox players may have additional wait time on this patch, but it's on the way. That update delay continued with regular updates from the devs until late in the week when Ottr wrote, "It's finally time to release update 3.5 to all platforms. We have finally solved the issues with the Xbox publishing tool and can now go ahead and roll out the update for all platforms. We are once more super sorry for the long delay." So it was a bit of a frustrating issue for everyone, devs and players alike. If we jump into the unofficial subreddit for the finals, which tends to show the most emotive sentiment, the comments with the most upvotes were praising Embark for their clear communication. Ottr did comment on the few frustrations that were being aired in the Discord, and following that we got some really interesting discussion. He wrote, "It's perfectly fine for people to be upset that the update is delayed as well. Everyone expects a weekly update and every other update to be slightly bigger because we've set that expectation. And when we break that expectation, that's not nice. As long as we're staying constructive with the feedback and don't get mean towards each other, everything is good." We'll look at where that discussion led in a moment, but my opinion on the updates is that I think the weekly updates do all become a bit of a blur and can go a bit unnoticed amongst the community simply because of their frequency. I'd actually prefer to see Embark make weekly updates to the store content, but to make patches with balancing and game changes a fortnightly thing, so we have a bit of time between changes to the game to allow us to provide clearer feedback on the changes, as well as just have more consistency in the game for longer periods. I think the weekly updates can start to feel like the game is constantly shifting under our feet, and we don't get all that much time to play it without some sort of change. I think having a couple of weeks between the patches would also make patches a bit more of a significant event, which people might look out for more than they currently are. What do you think? Should game patches shift to being fortnightly? Anyhow, following that comment from Ottr, community member Richard Carter, I hate TA ranked, whose username is itself a subject I'll come to shortly, replied to Ottr writing, "Ottr, now that you say that, your team hasn't lost any passion about the finals because of the community, right? I'm not saying it's all undeserved. I think some choices were pretty not good, but I'd hate to think you guys at Embark don't have the same passion for the finals as you did in Season 1. Or is it because you're also focusing on Ark Raiders?" It's a great and very direct couple of questions, right? Ottr replied with, "I think we lost some steam when we released Season 3 and all the hard work on making a pretty cool season got overshadowed by the reception of the rank change, but we've bounced back from that for sure. Team is still the same size as before, working as passionately as before. We are in the middle of some very well-deserved summer vacation right now though, so at the moment we might be a little bit slower than usual." So firstly, if anyone is wondering why we haven't seen any major changes to cash out yet, then the summer vacation period almost certainly explains that to some degree. Secondly, it's a clear acknowledgement from the devs that they've heard the community's negative feedback about the change of ranked play at the start of Season 3, where Embark decided to make Terminal Attack the sole ranked mode. The many comments on the Finals Discord and the unofficial subreddit and elsewhere are backed up by a couple of polls as well. Content creator Apo, who's a high-level ranked player and whose channel I've linked in the video description below, ran one asking, what mode do you want to see as ranked? And 74% of over 1,400 people said they want Cash Out to be the ranked mode. I ran one which was a variation on that, which asked, what game mode do you think will lead to a successful future for the finals? And 79% of almost 500 people said they think that mode is Cash Out. So I think the existing community's opinion on this is pretty clear. The unknown though is exactly what changes or game modes existing or new will not only bring positive feedback from the existing community, but importantly bring new players to the finals and have them make it a regular game they play. I definitely have some thoughts on those things, but I'll save those for a video on that topic alone. In the last few weeks especially, it's also become clear that there's been a shift amongst content creators who have been covering the finals, with them starting to include coverage of other games, like Nexon's recent release, The First Descendant, which is free to play and is currently enjoying about 10 times more players than the finals. An example of this shift is content creator Utopia, who's been providing that breaking news kind of content for the finals since before its launch last December, and they're now publishing more videos about The First Descendant and another free-to-play game, Once Human, an open-world survival game. This shift seems to be at least partly driven by those relative player numbers, with some content creators gaining more views and therefore income elsewhere, and is almost certainly another sign that Embark Studios needs to find ways to attract new players to the game. Additionally, content creator Ottr, maybe one of the more well-known creators who have been making regular content about the finals, published a video where he announced he isn't going to be making videos about the game anymore because in recent times he was losing money from the videos he made about the game.
The last 2 to 3 months I just looked at the stats, I would say that the channel on its own has been losing me money. It's just been in the red if you just take the 3 months comparing the money I put into it and the money I got out of it.
So I guess we won't be seeing any further content about the finals from that guy. Let's move on to Easter eggs in the finals. I've made a couple of videos about the 3-headed monkeys that can be found on the Monaco map, with the most recent being the 69 nice details and Easter eggs in the finals, which is linked above. Well, on the last day or so, we have had this new art image titled L3 AIM published in the official art channel on the Discord by Embark Studios co-founder, chief content officer, and executive producer for the finals and Easter egg mastermind, Rob Runison. This is the first piece of official art we've seen since early February, and potentially marks a return to Easter egg clues being delivered to us through game art, in addition to the game trailers and of course in-game. The image, as always, is packed with clues, including these binary numbers down the right side, which can be translated to B2, B4, E6, F4, G7, I3, and I6, which in turn correspond to locations on a gridded version of the Monaco map that Easter egg hunters made to help them with finding the 3-headed monkeys. Location I6 did not have a known monkey in it, and it didn't take very long before Easter egg hunter Impervious had found the 7th monkey on the bottom corner of the little standalone building in the park. So according to Rob, we've now found 7 out of 9 monkeys on the map, but it sounds like only 7 can be easily found, with him writing, there are actually 9, but you can proceed with 7. Perhaps I should let all 9 stay in the map, add a fun thing when, haha, you find the last 2 in the future. So we now have the 5 white rabbits from the Seoul map, the 3 dolphins from the Cis Horizon map, and 7 monkeys from the Monaco map, and we know we have to figure out how they combine to come up with a password to activate level 3 of the main Easter egg puzzle. Rob said back in March that they are all linked in an obvious way, and you have the clues where to find them in the map already. We're now wondering if the reason we had to find all 7 monkeys is that they map out something, like a constellation for instance, and that whatever object they map out leads us towards the solution. Anyhow, this is still a work in progress, but I thought I'd update you on that because we're finally getting close to activating level 3 of the main Easter egg puzzle. Also on the Easter egg front, the dolphin charm remains unsolved. We know it has to be triggered in-game on the Cis Horizon map, and a few days ago Rob told us that it was almost triggered, but he didn't think it was on purpose. When community member Louis Hudson Sr. retired, wrote, I'm not sure Embark could track that sort of thing, Rob simply wrote, "We can." So who knows what we need to do, but we need to keep trying different stuff. Lastly, I'm considering moving to face-on-camera type videos, which I think would work really well for videos like this one, where I'm talking about the games in a more general sense. I still have some things to figure out about how to make that work, such as lighting, a better camera, and for me to get plastic surgery, you know, all the usual stuff. So we'll see what happens there. The very astute of you may have noticed that I've also set up channel memberships on the channel very recently. These are very much in their infancy, and I'm looking at the best ways to make these work well for everyone. Maybe providing members early access to some videos, for instance, and to also include the Ditopia Discord in the mix as well, because I spend a lot of time hanging out on that Discord. Along those lines, I've also got a new line of merch available right here on the channel with t-shirts, caps, and of course pet collars. So if you decide you want to help support the channel more directly and have your miniature schnauzer looking sharp, well, you can. Thanks for watching this first episode of Beyond the Walls to the End. Do the usual YouTube business if you want to see more videos from me from now on. Give a like or comment as you see fit, and enjoy the rest of your day. Kia kaha. Stay strong.
Everybody knows the world ain't right. Down on your knees, get up and fight.